With these can-do videos, you'll see real-life situations where you have to introduce yourself, talk about your family, or give your contact information. So, by the end, you can do them yourself in Italian. This video is a small portion of our can-do course. To get the full course, including translations, grammar tools, and assessment tests, click the link in the description. Welcome to Can Do Japanese by JapanesePod101.com.
皆さんこんにちは、Kano Kana です。Hi everyone, I'm Kano Kana. In this lesson, you learn how to give your email address.
This is Karen Lee, and she's at City Hall, registering her address. The civil servant who is helping her says, Miss Lee, your email address, please.
リーさん、メールアドレスをお願いします。
Listen to the conversation and focus on the response. Ready?
リーさん、メールアドレスをお願いします。
私のメールアドレスは karen@inorang.com です。
Once more with the English translation.
リーさん、メールアドレスをお願いします。
Miss Lee, your email address, please.
私のメールアドレスは karen@inorang.com です。
My email address is karen@inolang.com. Wondering how you can master these conversations even faster? Here's how. 1. Read along. You get the lesson conversation and translations inside our dialogue tool, so that you see each word as you hear it and understand it all. 2. Practice speaking. By shadowing what you hear, you can also record and compare yourself with native speakers with our voice recording tools. And 3. Take our assessment tests and see how much you remember. These tools are part of our Can Do course. Just click the link in the description to get them.
Let's take a closer look at the conversation.
Do you remember how the civil servant says, Miss Lee, your email address, please?
リーさん、メールアドレスをお願いします。
First is
リーさん、
Miss Lee.
リーさん、
This starts with Karen's family name,
リー、
Lee.
リー、リー、
After this is
さん、
a polite suffix added to a person's name.
さん、さん。
The suffix can be used with any gender and translates as Miss in Karen's case. Together it's
リーさん、
Miss Lee.
リーさん、
Next is
メールアドレス、
email address.
メールアドレス、メールアドレス。
This word has two parts. First is
メール、
a commonly used abbreviation for email.
メール、メール。
Next is
アドレス、
address.
アドレス、アドレス。
Together,
メールアドレス、
email address.
メールアドレス。
Remember this because you'll see it again in Karen's response. Next is
お、
the object marking particle.
お、
Think of
お、
as a marker for the thing receiving the action. In this sentence, it marks
メールアドレス、
email address as the object being requested. Last is
お願いします。
please.
お願いします。お願いします。
Altogether, it's
リーさん、メールアドレスをお願いします。
This literally means, Miss Lee, email address, please, but translates as, Miss Lee, your email address, please.
リーさん、メールアドレスをお願いします。
Note the your in your email address is understood from the context of the two-person conversation. Omitting understood information is common in Japanese. Remember this request. You'll hear it again later.
Let's take a closer look at the response.
Do you remember how Karen says, My email address is karen@inolang.com.
私のメールアドレスは karen@inolang.com です。
First is
私の、
my.
私の、
This starts with
私、
I.
私、私
After this is
の、
the possessive marking particle.
の、の、
Together, it's
私の、
my.
私の、
Next, do you remember how to say email address?
メールアドレス、
Email address.
メールアドレス、
Together,
私のメールアドレス、
my email address.
私のメールアドレス
Next is
は、
the topic marking particle.
は、
It marks my email address as the topic of the sentence. Think of it like as for in the expression as for my email address. Next is Karen's email address.
karen@inolang.com
First is Karen's name.
karen
Next is the @ sign. In Japanese, it's pronounced
アットマーク、アットマーク、
note,
アットマーク、
can also be shortened to
アット、
a way to abbreviate @ sign.
アット、アット、
Next is the domain name in Japanese.
イノラング、
And last is
ドットコム、
.com.
ドットコム、ドットコム、
Altogether, Karen's email address is
karen@inolang.com
last is.
です。
In this case, it's like the is in it is.
です。
Altogether, it's
私のメールアドレスは karen@inolang.com です。
This literally means, as for my email address, karen@inolang.com it is. But translates as, my email address is karen@inolang.com.
私のメールアドレスは karen@inolang.com です。
The pattern is
私のメールアドレスは email address です。
my email address is email address.
私のメールアドレスは email address です。
To use this pattern, simply replace the email address placeholder with your email address. Imagine your email address is maki@inolang.com.
maki イノラング .com maki@inolang.com
Say, my email address is maki@inolang.com. Ready?
私のメールアドレスは maki@inolang.com です。
My email address is maki@inolang.com.
私のメールアドレスは maki@inolang.com です。
When giving your email address in Japanese, if the domain name is well known, you don't need to spell it out. For example, Gmail, Gmail. However, outside of well-known domain names, it will usually be necessary to spell it out.
Let's look at some more examples. Listen and repeat or speak along with the native speakers.
私のメールアドレスは karen@inolang.com です。私のメールアドレスは maki@inolang.com です。
私のメールアドレスは ben@inolang.com です。
私のメールアドレスは tomoko@inolang.com です。
メールアドレスは kk@inolang.com です。Did you notice how I omitted 私の?
Wondering how you can master these conversations even faster? Here's how. 1. Read along. You get the lesson conversation and translations inside our dialogue tool, so that you see each word as you hear it and understand it all. 2. Practice speaking. By shadowing what you hear, you can also record and compare yourself with native speakers with our voice recording tools. And 3. Take our assessment tests and see how much you remember. These tools are part of our Can-Do course. Just click the link in the description to get them.
メールアドレスは kk@inolang.com です。
My email address is kk@inolang.com. The speaker omitted
私の
meaning my. When giving your email address in response to a request, you can omit the phrase
私の
my, because the context is clear in a two-person conversation. The pattern is
メールアドレスは email address です。
email address is email address.
メールアドレスは email address です。
This can be shortened even further.
kk@inolang.com です。
When responding to a request, you can omit the whole phrase,
私のメールアドレスは
meaning as for my email address, because it's clear from the context the speaker is giving their email address. This is the shortest answer to a request to give your email address.
email address です。
It's email address.
email address です。
You should be aware of these shortcuts, but for this lesson, we'll use the full sentence pattern.
私のメールアドレスは email address です。
My email address is email address.
私のメールアドレスは email address です。
Let's review. Respond to the prompts by speaking aloud. Then repeat after me, focusing on pronunciation. Ready? Do you remember how to say .com? .com .com and how to say inorang.com. inorang.com inorang.com. Do you remember how to say @? @@。And how to spell Karen? Karen Karen. Do you remember how to say email address? メールアドレス And how to say my email address? 私のメールアドレス Do you remember how to say as for my email address? 私のメールアドレスは Do you remember how Karen says, my email address is karen@inorang.com?
私のメールアドレスは karen@inorang.com です。
私のメールアドレスは karen@inorang.com です。Do you remember how to say please? お願いします。And how to say Miss Lee? リーさん Do you remember how to say the object marking particle? お Do you remember the clerk's request? Miss Lee, your email address, please.
リーさん、メールアドレスをお願いします。
リーさん、メールアドレスをお願いします。
Let's practice. Imagine you're Ben Lee, and your email address is ben@inolang.com.
ben@inolang.com
Respond to the civil servant's request. Ready?
メールアドレスをお願いします。
私のメールアドレスは ben@inolang.com です。
Listen again and repeat.
私のメールアドレスは ben@inolang.com です。私のメールアドレスは ben@inolang.com です。
Let's try another. Imagine you're Tomoko Tanaka, and your email address is
tomoko @inolang.com
Ready?
メールアドレスをお願いします。
私のメールアドレスは tomoko@inolang.com です。
Listen again and repeat.
私のメールアドレスは tomoko@inolang.com です。私のメールアドレスは tomoko@inolang.com です。
Let's try one more. Imagine you're Kana Kana and your email address is
kk@inolang.com
ready?
メールアドレスをお願いします。
私のメールアドレスは kk@inolang.com です。
Listen again and repeat.
私のメールアドレスは kk@inolang.com です。私のメールアドレスは kk@inolang.com です。
This is the end of this lesson.
Now, here's what you can do to cement this conversation in your head. Review the conversation with our dialogue tool and lesson transcripts. Study the key words and phrases with our spaced repetition flashcards. Review the key grammar and cultural tips inside the lesson notes. And test yourself with our assessment tests. So click the link in the description right now and sign up for your free lifetime account to access our Can-Do course.
Now you know how to give your email address in Japanese. That's all there is to it. Keep practicing and move on to the next lesson.